Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great Arising. And I feel like we are on the move, or God is on the move right now to take us to even greater places in Him, greater heights of discovery and revelation in His heart. And I believe that the body of Christ right now, we are in a Kairos moment. In fact, I was just talking to my friend last night, Jen Miskov. She just wrote her 11th book called Sustaining the Flame. And she gave it to me when she was staying here a few weeks ago. And I opened it and hadn't read much of it because I've been very ill lately. I'll talk about that maybe later. But I opened it last night to the third chapter, and it's on Kairos moments. And she says in that chapter, she says, don't miss this moment. Because if you miss this moment, it will be lost forever. And you are coming into a time where God wants to use you to change culture, to change the world, to change your neighborhood, to change even your body. He wants right now. This is like a time. This is one of those times that's very special in history, and he doesn't want you to miss it. He doesn't want you to miss the power of God working in you and through you to affect an entire world. And so there was sort of a warning in that chapter. Don't miss it. Don't excuse it. Don't put yourself on the rack, the discount rack of life saying, oh, this can't be for me. I'm not that spiritual, or I'm not at that place where Annette is, or I'm not a prophet. Don't put yourself on the discount rack of life. Okay, my friends, when you're going to get an invitation to a feast, Jesus said, you're going to be invited to a feast. And that can happen many times in your life. And you can make up all kinds of excuses why you can't get to the feast. Good ones. Like my grandfather just died. I got to go bury him. I got to go pay honor to this person. This person is sick over there. I got to go attend to them. And you know what? How about if we just lay down every excuse, every personality flaw that we think we have, every spiritual disconnection wiring that we think that we are limited by. Let's just lay it down right now. You were meant to have the fullness of Jesus, the fullness of the Godhead living inside of you. You only have an awareness of a part of it, but God wants you to be aware of all of it. And so, my friends, today I want to start off by reminding you that in Exodus, when the Israelites were instructed to eat the lamb, the feast, before they were going to be delivered, God told them, eat all of the lamb, every part of it. That means it's kind of gross, like the stomach, the intestines, the meat, the fat, all of it. Eat every bit of it. Don't leave anything behind. There was a reason he did this. And the result of that, eating all of the lamb, is that about 3 million people, 1 to 3 million people, among all of those people, there was not one that was weak or feeble among them. And it's because, I believe, it's because they took all of Jesus into them, all of his thinking, all of his thoughts, all of his like the DNA information. They were receiving all of Jesus, the fullness of the Lamb. And so no sickness could be on them. They were super spiritual, activated human beings because they took all of Jesus. And so for the last few weeks, I've been fasting, and I've been mainly eating communion and a few other things, but that's not the point. But when I was when I was taking communion, I took my cracker here because isn't it amazing that he could put an entire DNA, spiritual knowledge and infused power of a lamb into this? If I am taking this with faith, it's as if I'm eating the whole lamb. While I was doing that, I cracked it up. I made it in little pieces. And I was just like, I want all of you, Jesus. I want all of you. I don't want to leave any part of you on the table. I want every part of you. And it was kind of laughable because I had crumbs and I was just like picking them up, going, no, no, I want all of you, Jesus. And it was a devotional that I was going into, but a little did I know it was changing me, it was transforming me into his likeness without me even really knowing it. I felt it. I felt like a difference happening when I was taking communion. It was a different level of communion, a different level of devotion, or different level of meditating. And he just started transforming me little by little, and some nights a lot. Like, I started getting downloads from heaven, and I know that kind of sounds creepy for some people, but when an idea comes to you and it didn't come from yourself, that would be a download from heaven. And it's a good idea, it's a God idea, that's from heaven. Okay. So I don't want to be creepy here or over mystifying this, but there is mystery, right? There's a lot of mystery that we need to discover, but I want to make things simple as well. So there were nights when I was getting these downloads from heaven. He was showing me spiritual realities that make the physical experience completely transformed and different. Like, you can walk in perfect health, perfect love, perfect peace, the perfection of heaven. You can walk in it here on the earth if you yield to every part of Jesus. You don't leave anything on the table. Imagine if you didn't leave anything on the table. You didn't push anything away and say, no, thanks. I don't want that. I'm not used to that. I don't like the taste of that. I'm not comfortable with that. What if you just, like a little child, you said, no, 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 give it all to me, Lord. I want every last crumb of your goodness. And this is how you meditate or you work. It's not like you're working. You go into an encounter with Jesus. Is you can use communion. Something as simple as a cracker can take you into the deepest realms of his heart. And some of you are saying, you know what, I've never had this experience in that. I've never done that. I've never experienced such, downloads from heaven and, technical stuff coming to me and all of that. My friends, your perseverance is the very door that's going to take you there. You're not special that it doesn't work for you. You're not. You are the design of God to contain all of him, to contain his fullness. You're designed for it. And friends, I think that many times people have been, I think more than not, we have been taught to shut down our spirits and to become materialistic. And what I mean by that is, and this is, I believe this is the devil's plan, and this is how the devil has been successful at spreading diseases and evil in the world, is he wants you to shut down the spirit and pay attention to what's happening in the physical, only things that you can see with your physical eyes. Because imagine if your eyes are only on the material things. Because if you've been with me a while, you know this. Every atom is like a speck of matter, and the rest of the atom traveling around it is energy, right? So 99% of you are made up of energy. and light and frequency. And only 0.0001% of you is made up of matter. So if your eyes are on matter, what happens to that spiritual, the spiritual energy? It gets compressed. It's no longer honored. It's no longer seen. It's no longer felt. It's no longer experienced. It's like sucking the life force out of the atoms, okay? And you cannot heal, you cannot flourish when everything has been compressed like that. And so what the devil does is he goes, don't feel feelings. You shouldn't have feelings. You should only have head knowledge. You should be a moral person. Let's just laugh at all these things. Morality is good. I'm not laughing at that, but he wants you to shut down your experiential knowledge of God. He wants you to shut down your spirit, the spiritual forces, the energy, the frequencies. He wants you to shut that down, what you can't see, for the things that you can see. And those things you can see only receive their life from the things you can't see. And so where I want to go with that, I want to just show you a few pictures here, what things look like in the science world. I'm going to see if I can do this. Okay. Well, I'll just start with this picture right here. This is the heart-brain coherency that I've talked about before. And the brain and heart on the bottom is in synchronicity. It's in coherence. The one on top, you can see they're not in coherence. And this is what, if you were going to look at the energy field inside of you, this is what it would look like. It's disheveled. It's chaos, really, is what it is. And how you get into the brain-heart coherence is Greg Braden talks about this a lot. He says, you go into the feeling of gratitude. Now, a lot of people are like, but it's not about feelings. I understand that. Your feelings are not God, but your spirit, you have a result of gratitude when your spirit is activated. Okay. So gratitude is the doorway to rescuing your spirit and giving your heart a voice again, so that you can operate in coherency. And your brain begins to get messages from the heart rather than the other way around, where all of the messages are coming from the brain, the processor, and what's going on in the world, in the material world. Okay. Let's go over here. This is something I drew up this morning. Please forgive me, because I was drawing it on my computer. The big line is, this is what happens to your heart rate variance and your heart rate variability. This is what it looks like when you're in coherence. So they can put these little things on you, and it's an EKG. They can see how your heart is responding to certain emotions or certain feelings and stuff. So what they do is, what Greg did in this study is he showed this woman's heart on the big screen, and then it showed us what happens when she went into gratitude. Now, these are not Christians, but you can still learn from this. She goes into this feeling of gratitude, and her heart goes up and down like this. It flows in this really wide, flowy line like that. Much better than the one that I drew. If they hook up a woman or a man who is, let's just say 80 or 90, very stuck in their ways, the red line is what the heart rate looks like. The heart rate rate variance looks like. It's almost as if the heart is trapped. It's not experiencing the full range of life. Do you see that? You see the difference between the two? I just want to remind you, this is the picture of the atom. See how much is actually matter? how much is energy and life. Think of the spirit. Think if all of that life was sucked out of your atoms, what would remain? There would be this compression happening. Light wouldn't be able to enter your body. Disease would begin to happen because shutdown begins to happen. Think of that. Here's another just, frustration, what frustration looks like. And you shift to appreciation. Look at the difference. The heart is more able to flow and be healthy. Let's see, there's another example of it right there. Okay, you guys can look this up online, but I wanted to show you this really fast. This is the table with the full lamb on it. And this is the Israelites being invited to eat all of it. And I believe that God is saying he wants you to experience all of life. Life in perfection, perfect life, perfect peace, perfect healing, that none is weak or feeble among you, and that even your spiritual atmosphere is spilling out onto others, and it's causing them to experience the light again. You're giving people the ability to expand again instead of compress from a lack of spiritual life. Everyone's been invited to the table, my friends. Remember, I said, don't let any excuse or personality flaw that you think you have keep you from entering the banquet with Jesus. And then I just want to show you this picture. This is really sweet. This is an AI picture. This is why I love AI, because what a glorious image, right? Coming together. Imagine yourself being invited to the table of bliss. And you're invited to partake in every bit of the fellowship, of the life, and the love, and the peace that you want. Just imagine a table like that you've been invited to. Okay, so how do we expand our spirits? That's really what I want to talk about today, because you will get sick in your body with a compressed spirit, with a shut down heart. If you're not feeling deep peace, deep love, if you're not feeling bliss, if you're not feeling exuberant joy, that's a signal that something is shut down in your heart. Okay? The feelings are not God themselves. We don't honor the feeling. They're just it's like a vital sign. Like if firemen show up on a scene and there's someone that looks dead there, they don't look for signs of death. They look for signs of life to know how to treat them. And so imagine yourself, you're looking for signs of life in your life. You're looking for signs of spiritual fullness, and you have no peace. You don't have exuberant joy. You don't even know what bliss feels like. That's a sign to you something needs to be reactivated and re-enter into your life. Okay? And so one of the ways, don't make this hard on yourself. One of the ways that you can do this is by going into the meditation with Jesus and meditation with him, however he wants to lead you. He might lead you to a desert like he led me. He might lead you to fast. He might lead you to go to a place you've never been before, so you're completely uncomfortable and you have nothing to rely on that you're used to. So you're forced to rely on the Spirit for comfort. He does it all different ways. There's not a right or a wrong way for him to lead you there. But the doorway to getting there is just simply hunger. It's just simply wanting to. It's like, it's like saying, Jesus, I want more of you. I decided I want all of you. I want every crumb on my plate. I don't want to leave one piece on my plate. And imagine Jesus even did this when he fed the 5,000. He picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces. You know what that symbolizes? He's not leaving one piece of you behind. Not one piece of you is going to be left behind. He's picking up all of the broken pieces. And he's saving all the pieces that you didn't eat from the table. He's saving those for you, for when you want them. He's just that good. He's that good. He's that patient. He is perfect patience. He's perfect love, perfect joy, perfect friendship. Imagine having an awareness of his friendship in your life right now. Like you just walk around giddy and people are like, what is up with that woman? Why is she really that happy? Does she not know what's going on in the world? Come on. Imagine if you walked in that kind of bliss in your life. You're like thinking, a lot of people, and I used to think like this too. A lot of people say, well, if we did that, we would just have no use on the earth. Like, wouldn't we be useless? No, my friends, you would be like your most powerful, your most useful, because disease wouldn't be able to be in your presence. You know, a few weeks ago, I told you about 140 people coming to the healing rooms at Bethel, and 40 of them got healed in the hallway. And I heard that this was going on, and I went out into the hallway. I'm a teacher there, so I went out into the hallway. So after you spend time in the hallway, then you go into a class, then you go into an encounter room, and then and a worship room and a prayer room, and then you go into another class. I teach those classes. So I came out of my class and I said, Jesus, I want to see you working right now. I want to see what you're doing. I want to see what you're up to right now. And so I went into the hallway and I saw these people getting healed, things that made my eyeballs question, like, whoa, did that really just happen? That kind of a thing. And Byron was saying, get in closer, you guys, get in closer. I don't want you to not see this. You know, I don't want you to miss what Jesus is doing and what he wants to do for you. And I don't want you to miss the possibility of your healing today, you know? And people were skeptic. They're like, I don't know. I don't that's weird, you know? And this one woman got up and she's praising God. Oh my goodness, I don't have any more pain in my back. I don't have pain in my foot. She started jumping up and down. She goes, I haven't been able to do that, put any pressure on my foot for years. And she was one of the people that said, I'm a skeptic. And so this is what God wants to do. He wants to erase all of your skepticism. But anyways, so when I went into the hallway, I stayed there for a while and I was in amazement. And here I've been at the healing rooms for 10 years and I'm still like overwhelmed with amazement. And I walk away to go to the bathroom before I have my class, and the bathroom is far away. So I have to walk pretty like the whole length of the church. And I notice I'm like, this is weird. It's taking absolutely no effort for me to walk to the bathroom. It was so strange to me. My legs were moving, but there was absolutely no effort. It was like something else was moving my legs. I mean, let's just like celebrate that. I'm not heavy anymore. Yay. But the Lord was showing me, Annette, you were in an expanded place in the hallway, a spiritually expanded place in the hallway. And your body, when it's expanded, when the spirit is able to move in you and through you, physical matter is nothing Like your spirit is the one that was supposed to give your matter, the physical matter of your body, life and energy. But when you've shut down your spirit and you say, be quiet, quit being hungry, quit wanting more, yet that's not your personality. You're compressing and you're saying, no, my personality is more important. My physical body is more important. And or you're just literally you're sucking the life out of your body by agreeing with all those things that the devil wants you to believe. And so these last few weeks, I'm going to go into it personally when we go off here, but the Lord asked me to go to the desert with him. And I was like, no, thank you. You gave me permission to say, let this trial pass from me. Do not lead me there, Lord, but deliver me from evil. And he kept saying, do you want to come into the desert with me? And I just kept saying no. And then I was hearing fast. I heard just one word, fast. And I was like, no, thanks. I'm laughing at it now, but fast, fast. It was just like this gentle voice, fast. And I was like, no, I don't do fasting, Lord. That's not my cup of tea. And so I realized, I heard someone say this just helped me so much. Someone said, you can go into the desert as a victim and you will come out of the desert a victim. Or you can go into the desert following the Lord of the desert, who's going to lead you into victorious, a victory that you've never experienced in your life. And when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, why have I been afraid of the desert? Why have I been afraid of fasting? Why have I been afraid? Like, oh, because I've been entering as a victim, not as someone who's covered in the Lord of the desert, in the life giver. Okay, so that made all of the difference in my life. And I began seeing impossible things that I've had in my body leave. I've started seeing my body be restructured and begin to respond to the light that was coming in. And there was this one, I'm just going to give you one of the details of the desert right now. You wouldn't want to hear it all. But I hope that you want to hear one thing. So I'll just share it with you. There was one night, my whole body was filled with or it was covered with hives, okay? Except for my face and my chest, maybe. But I was covered with hives. Now, these were not nice hives. They stung, they burned, they itched, and there was nothing I could do about it. I had taken 9 Claritins. You're only supposed to have one a day. I had taken, I mean, you just get to a desperate place. You're like, okay, they won't kill me, so let's just take some more, and please, I don't recommend that unless a doctor is telling you it's okay, which I had that approval. So nothing was helping. And one of the things, you basically just feel like one big, huge bee sting. And, like you're throbbing, it's stinging, it's itching, all that. And you're also freezing to death because it's like you're having a fever because everything's inflamed. So you're freezing to death. But if you put a blanket on, you'll cause more hives because heat activates them. And so I was shivering cold and I was asking the Lord, what am I going to, I'm literally, I'm out of solutions here. And he said, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. And that can mean different things for you, friends. It could mean no physical energy towards this. No human power, no human doings, no human medicines, no human anything that I've used before to cover up the problems in my body or to fix the problems in my body. I could not use. I couldn't use a blanket to get me warm. I couldn't use anything physical to help me. And he said, it's by my spirit. And so I started meditating on that. And he said, and I said, okay, I started coming into agreement. Okay, Lord, I'm going your way this time. And he said, go get some ice. And I'm like, oh no, my worst nightmare. Putting ice on my body when it's already freezing. I'm cold, I'm shivering. Okay, I got some ice. It's not that God is into tormenting us. No, he wanted to prove something to me. He wanted to prove his power. He wanted to prove that his spirit was working. And so I took, and one thing, ice does help. The hives go down a little bit. So it's kind of like, oh, it's not like ridiculous that the Lord would tell you, put ice on that. Because naturally speaking, it does help a little. But it was the last thing I wanted to do because I was just freezing. So I started icing my whole body with just bags of ice. And I felt the warmth of the Holy Spirit warming me from the inside out. And I'm sure something happens biologically when you do all this, but that's beside the point. But I got my heat from the Spirit of God. And it activated things in me that had never been activated before in my life. And that one bit of this long desert that I've been in was probably the most miserable part of the desert, of like how I felt physically, and then how he turned it around to making it victorious. It is just amazing. Now, I'm not suggesting that any of you go and do what I did, because it's not a method thing. There's a special place in your heart that needs activating. And only you and God know about it. You may be unaware of it, but the Lord has maybe been bringing it up in your life and he's been talking to you about it. But you've been ignoring that still small voice because you're like, it can't be that important. But it actually is one of the most important things, probably. And the thing that I'm talking about for me was fasting. And I never wanted to fast because I was just like, I don't need to do that. That's for weak people, right? Well, so when the desert experience ended, is when I went to the healing rooms on Saturday. And I had 3 people praying for me, and I'm pretty sure God sent his 3 mightiest warrior angels to pray beside those 3 people, because I've never ever been blasted like that before with prayer. It was like their words were going through me. Their words were, every word they spoke was hitting my heart. It was hitting my bones. Like my bones were smiling and praising the Lord. I could feel my bones responding to the words that they were saying. And never has that happened to me in my life. But anyways, the Lord brought me out of the desert, and I opened my Bible Saturday morning before going to the healing rooms, and I said, I want to see what you want to say today. I'm going to let this open wherever it wants. And my Bible opened, and you can see this Bible is very small print. So I have like 4 or 5 chapters on one spread. So on one spread, I could see many things that I've underlined in the different chapters. And I thought Jesus was going to take me to somewhere really exciting, like Zechariah, you know? And it opened up, it was upside down, so I had to turn my Bible around, and it opened up to a place in, I think it's Matthew or Mark somewhere. And there was nothing underlined except for one thing. And it said, this type comes out only by prayer and fasting. Can you believe it? Like, of all the things God wanted to like just say, look, Annette, you don't ever have to be afraid again to enter a desert. You don't ever have to be afraid of fasting, because when you fast food, you're getting your energy, life force from the Spirit of God. And it's way better. And your heart is being expanded. Your spirit is coming back to life. It's coming back out, and it's giving life to your body. The way he created, the way he designed it. It's amazing, my friends. Fasting is the best thing ever. I told Diane yesterday, I go, I don't know if I want to even eat anything. I had some tea and it felt like it was dragging me down. My favorite tea, you guys. Now, I don't suggest you like fast your whole life. I'm not trying to make that assumption that you would do that. But anyways, you never ever have to fear anything again, because there's always a spiritual solution waiting on the table of the Lord for you to feast on. There's nothing in the world right now that's happening that can take life from you unless you let it. There's nothing that we can't conquer with perfect peace, perfect love, perfect joy. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's no darkness. There's no chemistry that's going to come in and take nothing can win against the Spirit of God inside of you. My friends, if you're not feeling the fullness of God in your life, that's your first signal of what you need to do. You just need to start feasting. You just need to start feasting, letting your spirit come back to life, letting your spirit fill you again, letting yourself feel the love of God. Feelings are very, very important. I'm going to end with this just so you can maybe ask the Lord about it this week. Feelings are the experiential knowledge of God's presence. I'm going to say that again. Feelings are the experiential knowledge of God's presence. They aren't God themselves. They aren't his presence. They're the result of the fullness of God. They're the result of knowing. They're the result of being fully alive. It produces exuberant joy. It produces peace in all situations. You can go into dark and evil places and feel at total peace. In not only that, is you can release peace in the darkest of areas and places, and it will have an effect on that place. These are the feelings I'm talking about, friends. I'm not talking about emotions. Emotions are reactions to circumstances. You know, something's funny, you laugh at it. God gave us those too. We love emotions, especially when our emotions are in submission to the Spirit of God, right? Feelings are a state of being. It's like feelings are the graph I showed you earlier. It's telling you the condition of the state of your being. How alive are you? If someone came, would they find signs of life? Would they be able to tell that you're alive, spiritually speaking? But all of this affects the material world. All of this affects your body. All of this affects every blood cell. Feelings emit spiritual realities into our physical world. Okay, so Ask the Lord about that this week. What feeling has died in me as a result of my spirit being shoved aside, silenced, or not enjoying full life? What part of me needs the light of Christ? What part of me needs the bread of life? Ask Him to show you. What haven't you felt in a very long time? Have you been feeling the feeling of being tolerated instead of celebrated? You can't live on being tolerated. God doesn't tolerate you, He celebrates you. You need the life force, energy, frequency, whatever you want to call it. You need the life force of celebration, because that is what gets everything else moving. That's what gets everything full of life. That is the presence. It's the life, it's the sign of life of the presence of God in your life. How about bliss? When was the last time you felt blissful? When was the last time you just felt overjoyed and giddy with love? This was easy for you when you were a child. Few people can say that they never felt this. I'm sure they're out there. My two youngest kids might be able to say this about their childhood, but they came from a very abusive place. From day one, my son was told to cry and scream. That's what his father screamed at him. He wanted him to scream and cry. Imagine day one starting that off that. But some of you have been shut down for too long. And the devil keeps saying, no, 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 no. You don't need to feel that. It's not about feelings. Those are only the signs of your life, whether it's activated in you or not. You don't look for the feeling, you look for the healer, Jesus. And the result is the feeling. You get the experiential knowing of the presence of God. And so don't receive any condemnation today, friends. No condemnation. If you're not feeling something or something feels dead in you, don't take that as condemnation. Take it as fuel to press in and persevere for the goodness of God, for more of Him. Okay, I hope this inspires you to persevere and to go deeper into His heart, to know Him, to know perfect love, perfect joy, perfect peace, and allowing even the blood cells inside of you to receive the light of Jesus, letting all of you receive all of Him. Every day, all day, you can do it. You can receive all day, all week. Even when you're working, you will become a better employee, a better boss, because the Spirit is fueling you and you're experiencing the fullness of God. Okay, love you guys. I hope you have the best week ever. Please like and comment and just respond. Go on YouTube if you're on the Zoom call and just comment. Invite people into our community. People need Jesus. They need to feast on Him, especially right now. It's a Kairos moment. Be loved and be celebrated. Bye-bye, friends.